Ready?
You're on.
Hey, everybody, it's podcast the day before Valentine's, and I have a special guest. We may have two guests today, but I have a special guest. He's the owner of the podcast Mansfield, Steve Casillo, excuse me.
That's all right.
He also has his own podcast called About Mansfield. Tell us a little bit about that, Steve.
About Mansfield, we are essentially the local news for Mansfield, Texas. That in 2019, we used to have a local newspaper here in town. It was called the Mansfield News Mirror.
Isn't that crazy? I was just talking to my wife about newspapers, and so finish your deal, and then I'll say what I was talking about.
Okay, so the Mansfield News Mirror, it was the oldest newspaper in Tarrant County. They went out of business at the very last week of 2019, and they gave their readers notice, about a month's notice. And I already had started my podcast studio. I had not started my podcast itself. And it was actually a city councilman came to me and says, why don't you consider starting your own podcast, doing local news, and you could carry on where the newspaper left off.
That's pretty smart.
And when the newspaper went out of business, I started my podcast the very next week so that there would not be a lapse of local news here in Mansfield.
So when does it come on?
It is released every Wednesday. So this past Wednesday, 2 days ago, we released episode 307. This is a weekly podcast. And so unlike, for instance, you're doing video right now, this is an audio-only podcast. We deliver the local news to your ears.
Oh, wow. So and it's about how long in length?
It runs... The nice thing about a podcast is that it doesn't have to have a specific amount of time.
That's true.
So it could run 45 minutes. It could run an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. So we have it's about Mansfield. So all they have to do is go to YouTube and Google
or go to my website aboutmansfield.com.
Okay. There we go.
And there's a podcast player right there on the homepage.
So if you're living in the Mansfield area, then I would suggest every Wednesday you tune in to About Mansfield with Steve. And
Steve,
you have guests, right?
Well, Steve and his team.
There you
go. Because
we can't forget Andrew.
Andrew's here, and we have Colleen is my co-host, and we've got Angel, who is our feature health reporter. Brian also submits, and the mayor comes in every other week and talks about what took place at City Council. And then, we do have guests because at the very last segment of every episode is what we call the talk segment. And so it starts with local news, then it goes into features, the health segment and so on, and then the talk segment.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, in other words, you can learn a lot about Mansfield in a short amount of time.
I would think so.
And 307 episodes. That's pretty amazing right there. This is episode 14. So I'm a long way behind you. But you're doing it every week, right?
Right. And my background is radio. My background is news talk radio. So to make that transition from 30 years of news talk to doing this podcast, it was a natural segue for me. And
so it's what I was telling my wife yesterday. We were coming in from a funeral in Houston, and what I was telling her is that, I'd like to keep up with the local area sports and stuff.
Sure.
And I'm the old school format in that I would like to read the newspaper and stuff, and you just can't do that anymore. So like in one horse towns, like I live in Kaufman, and I'm a big follower of Terrell Tiger Athletics and stuff. There's a lot of posts and stuff, but it's just hard to follow and keep up with where all the teams are playing, where I've told a friend of mine I'd like to go see the Waxahachie-DeSoto game, have ties to Waxahachie, but I also have a guy that's coaching at the freshman or JV level. I'm not sure where which level he's coaching at, but he's coaching one of the levels. And I know that they played each other already once, and I think they're supposed to play each other again. And I think it's coming up. If it hasn't already come up, it may have already come up. May have missed it. May have been Tuesday night, or it may be tonight. But they're supposed to play each other, and it's just hard to keep up with that when it's not right in front of you like it was in print media back in the day.
Yeah,
it's just hard to keep up with all that.
You could clip it out and put it on your refrigerator and know when.
Yeah.
Now we don't cover upcoming games, but we do cover games that have already been played.
So you cover the results. And
so
y'all got, what, 4 schools in Mansfield?
We have 5 high schools, and and right now we're in basketball season, and the boys are about to start the playoffs. The girls' regular season ends next week, and those playoffs are going to be starting. But yeah, we always cover high school football. As I mentioned,
you better cover high school football.
Absolutely.
In Texas.
Basketball is about to wrap up. We're heading into playoffs. Baseball is just starting. I think Mansfield High School has played their first game. So yeah, we keep an eye on local sports, and unfortunately, again, like the newspaper where you can actually clip an article or something, the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of have to rely on Max Preps for that. I don't know.
And that's. I mean, I get it, but I still miss the localization of it. Like, the one thing that I miss about living in Waxahachie is, and I stop at a place every other week when I am coming here.
Mm-hmm.
I always stop at one of my favorite places in Waxahachie, Texas, Homa's Jiffy Burger.
Okay.
It's a great little place. It's a hole in the wall, but they have great breakfasts, and I can either get a what we would normally call a taquito, but it's an omita, and it's an egg and sausage, and I'll either get that or I'll get an egg and bacon sandwich. And the bacon's always that thick and that wide. I mean, or not that thick, but that wide and pretty thick.
Yeah.
And it's just a great place to go, and there's a lot of locals in there, and especially on Friday and Saturdays. And the other thing is they're always playing KBEC, which is the local radio station.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the top independent radio stations, and Ken Roberts and his group do a great job. They do a flea market every 6 days a week, but they also, from 8 to 10, and then they also do Country Classic, but they cover every sport, every major sport for Waxahachie. Football, basketball, boys and girls, softball, baseball. They're huge into the sports. And it's just, like I walked in today and they're talking on the flea market, and they were talking about different things coming up and I don't know who Waxahachie's playing tonight, but I'm sure they were talking about that. And they always talk about it. And so, like, Waxahachie's moved to 6A, Ennis is still 5A, and they're bitter rivals, and they'll usually play at the beginning of the year. And you can always know when it's Waxahachie Ennis week because they'll be talking about it all week long on KBEC. And invariably on Friday morning, someone from Ennis will call in and play their battle hymn. And, I mean, it's just always a great. It's just that I just miss that kind of stuff. And with our technology, sometimes our traditional rivalries are just falling off, and the younger people don't understand how deep that is and how meaningful it is to the 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds and even 40-year-olds in the group.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's the downside of technology that we're having to face, is that the rivalries just lose their intensity sometimes just because we don't have that local banner going on, that print media anymore that's offering that. And Max Preps they're concerned about the entire state. They're not concerned about
the entire country.
Yeah, they're not exactly. They're not concerned about what's going on in North Texas or what's going on. Like, I know from back in the day, and I don't know if they still are good, but Mansfield Timberview used to have really good basketball teams.
Sure.
Both boys and girls. And I don't know if they're still that great or not, or if they've kind of cycled out or what, or if it's the district they're in. Now, I do know not too far from here, North Crowley is really, really good as well. I believe.
Oh,
This year.
North Crowley they're good at every sport.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're one of the top teams in the state, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
or at least when it comes to football,
Yes.
they're phenomenal.
Yes.
Timberview has a great team. The Timberview girls are struggling this year.
Okay.
They're like 2-20 or something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Wow.
They won a game a couple of weeks ago, but it was only by 1 point, and it was like, yes, the girls won a game. But traditionally, yes, Mansfield Tigers and Timberview, the Wolves, both have always had good teams.
So, are you a big Olympic fan?
I love the Olympics. Yes.
Okay. What's your take so far on the Olympics?
Now, specifically because of the Olympics, we started a subscription just a few days ago to Peacock, so that we can
falling into the subscription.
we can bring up the app. We can choose the sport of our choice. We've been watching the downhill. What's it called? The 5G or something. The Super G.
The Super G.
The Super
Yes.
G, where these guys and women are skiing down these massive hills. They're at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Blows me away.
It goes more than we go in a car.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
maybe not some of us. I think we have a mutual friend that I won't mention, but he goes pretty fast too. So.
And then there's short track speed skating.
I love speed skating.
Oh my gosh.
Eric Hayden, was that the big guy back in the 90s?
Right,
or?
right. And Oho.
Oh yes, Oho. Yes, he's a Japanese American.
Yes, yes.
And he was, and then Bonnie Blair.
Yep. So
I love speed skating.
When you get into speed skating, and then you get into speed skating.
I'm not a figure skater, but I love speed skating.
The relays. Now you're talking 8 people on the track.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now watching speed skating is like watching NASCAR.
It is.
But it's
better.
You're waiting.
I don't like NASCAR.
You're waiting for the spills.
Yeah, but I just love the way they hit those curves, and I love the way that they're like greyhounds. They just look like greyhounds or thoroughbreds. To me, I hate to say that about somebody, but they do. They look like greyhounds or thoroughbreds to me, and they just it's amazing what the human can do when they're tested like that. And
so to me, the exciting things are things that are going fast. The 5G, the speed skating, the luge.
I love the bobsled.
Yep.
I love the 2-man bobsled. The luge and the skeletons are just kind of a little bit too much. I don't know that you would find me on a sled. It's basically a sled.
Oh yeah.
And you're.
Now Saturday Night Live did a little satirical commercial on the Olympics.
I missed that one.
And they had a figure skater, and I've been doing this since I was 5 years old, and this is such a wonderful sport. And then the next was a guy, and he was saying, I'm a snowboarder, and I love my sport. And the third one was a young lady says, I do the luge, and I hate it. I'm scared every time, and I scream all the way down. And it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't like the fact that I'm so good at something that I hate.
Well, and I mean, I guess, if I ever wrecked out or crashed, I would be scared too. I mean,
yeah.
I'll segue into the Lindsey Vonn.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I can't imagine what she went through when she tore her ACL, but to get back out there and not only compete but to run, like her time, the second time was the third fastest time.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that I got sucked in and put a little small wager. It's not a lot. Like I was putting, I don't know, $10 or $20 on it for her to win the thing, because what an incredible story that would have been had she won the Olympics on a torn ACL.
Right.
A ruptured ACL. And what just amazes me about this whole thing, and I've posted about it several times, is she had a crash on the day of the competition. She was the 13th player to go out, or her teammate Breezy Johnson had already catapulted into the first place and was sitting at number one. So you had a chance of either way, whether Lindsay was able to overtake her or was not. You had a real chance of the Americans finishing first and second in the downhill.
Right.
And it would have been really super cool to see that because they've not all. Lindsay's been very competitive, but Lindsay's also reckless. And when you're reckless, things happen.
Because that was, to use the word wreck, that was not her first wreck.
Oh, no. She's got a history. In fact, the dad has said, if I have anything to say with this, she's done.
She's done.
But, she's 41. I mean, that's incredible that you're even competitive at 41 in an event like that not only is it dangerous, but like you said earlier, you're going 70, 75 miles an hour, and the margin for error is laser thin.
Right.
I mean, it is so narrow of a margin. It's like a needle in a haystack. And so as she's coming around to that first gate, her arm catches the pole.
Right.
And so it wasn't even her ACL. It was just the fact that she cut it so close because she was trying to shave time.
Yep.
She knew the time she had. The time was posted. And she knew that this was what I had to do. And she went for it. And, man, I have nothing but mad respect for somebody that goes for it like that.
That is just, it's amazing that someone can do that at that speed. Yep. where the ice, it's not, maybe it's a little snow, but they pack it pretty hard.
Yes.
You are sliding down ice at
Yes.
75 miles an hour. Ice, of course, really hard.
Yeah.
And the only thing really protecting you is your helmet.
Yep.
There was one guy that raced the other day. He clipped the gate with his pole.
Mm-hmm.
The pole actually broke, and so as you're, not only do you use the poles, not only do you use the poles to start gaining momentum, but you also use them to help steer as you're working your way down. And this guy broke his pole in half from one of the gates. So those gates can't be. I mean, I know they bend.
Yeah, they're bent, but they still have to stay in place because of the fact that you gotta. They're pretty hard, and like I said, what it did is cause Lindsay to flail,
right,
and to basically do a 180 and spin, and she lost control just because of how close it was.
And
it's an amazing thing, though. Still,
to those who are watching and may not be aware, Lindsey Vonn, after she crashed, had to be helicoptered out of the Olympics. And if she's not calling it quits, that'd be a pretty gutsy move.
So again, as we close on Lindsay and on the Olympics and Steve, about Mansfield. If you are in the Mansfield area or just in the Metroplex and want to check out a cool feature, hit up my man or look up my man Steve on About Mansfield and watch him. And if you have a podcast that you are interested in doing or starting, reach out to Steve also for Podcast Mansfield. It's a great deal. And so, Steve, I appreciate you filling in for a few minutes.
I'm going to relinquish this chair.
And the golden child has finally made it. He's a little late. I'm not happy, but we'll get through it. And so, here we go. So, we picked up on Lindsay. We picked up on the features, and Mr. Reece Lawson is here. Man, you take after your mom. God almighty. So, do you have a roof tip for us to start us off?
Oh, roof tip. Don't let it leak.
Don't let it leak. Okay. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, so I just made a post about a roof that we were helping out with an insurance premium. They had no idea that they had water getting into their house, but they had a metal roof on top of shingle roofs. They didn't
Metal
know,
on top of shingles.
They didn't know anything about the roof besides it had been replaced a little bit before the time that they had bought the house. And so actually they were under the impression the roof was perfectly fine. They had a form from their insurance company ready for me to sign in and say, yeah, your roof's all good. But in fact, they actually had water getting underneath the metal, and it was sitting between the metal and
How
the
old
shingles.
was the metal?
The metal was only about 4 or 5 years old, which isn't that old for a metal roof, but whoever did it had no inclination that it needed to be installed right.
Why do you think people think it's okay to put metal over shingles? Because we see it all the time, especially where we live.
So a lot of times people are under the impression that you can have multiple layers of roofs, and
Texas allows 3 legally.
I'm gonna be completely honest. A lot of times there's not really a problem with putting multiple layers on a roof until the spots that weren't fixed originally start to crumble and they start to deteriorate, and then you pretty much have holes underneath Band-Aids.
All you did is Band-Aid.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of it, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, if you don't take care of it to begin with, if there was a leak and you said, well, I'll just put metal over shingles because that will stop it, and you got a contractor out there, and there's a lot of contractors out there that love to take corners, and don't want to tell you the truth of the matter, that you really should start from the very base of this, and start by first, because if you're having a leak, it's not only your shingles are failing, you're more than likely having a deck issue that's failing. Would you agree with that?
More than likely.
And so, not always the case. There are times where shingles were maybe weren't caulked right in an area. We went out to a place about 2 weeks ago, and we had caulked everything. We thought we had done everything, and there's a little area where the shingles and the sidewall come together that we didn't flash properly, and that caused the leak. So it's not always due to shingles, but usually if there's a problem in the leaking, doing a layover is not going to resolve it.
No.
And it's only going to Band-Aid it. And like Reece is saying, is this Band-Aided for about 4 or 5 years, probably went over the point of where another contractor had offered a warranty. Most standard warranties are either 2 or 5 years by a contractor. And the problem becomes that they did a layover, and now they're in year 5, been told that this roof is going to last them 25, maybe their lifetime, because a lot of contractors will tell you that. And I'm here to tell you that I've talked to 3 manufacturers of metal products, and they'll tell you 20 to 25 years is the max you could probably get before it starts oxidizing and before it starts breaking down. But what Reece and I have also found out with metal roofs is that in year 15, about 12 to 15 years in, you start having screws pull out because the wind is constantly lifting, because unlike shingles and unlike other products, metal roofing doesn't offer a starter system that allows for the metal to seal at the bottom. So in the, what's the official naming of, like on the R panel, the lip up? You know what I'm talking about?
The rib.
The rib, there's air constantly going up through there, and it may only be a 10 mile per hour wind, but it's constantly, if you can see my fingers, it's constantly causing that roof to just lift just a hair. And just a hair sometimes is causing that screw to start to pull out. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think a big thing is making sure that whoever you're using making sure that they put enclosures down at the bottom. And then also you have to take into account the heat and the cold contracting and expanding.
And that brings up another point. So if you're using a roof, another reason not to lay over is because you need a good high temp underlayment to underlay on that roof. And a lot of times, roofing companies don't use the proper high temp underlayment, and they just use synthetic felt, or they'll just felt over another felt. I had once when I first got into roofing, I had somebody tell me that there's R value in leaving the layers of felt on, and there is no R value into it, so it doesn't provide for better insulation. I seriously had a guy that had been in it for many years tell me that there was R value by leaving R felt on. I don't know how many Reece has encountered, but I did a roof on a street that me and my wife and kids used to live on when we first moved to Kaufman, and that roof had 8 layers of felt on it. Now imagine 8 layers of felt, no one in the previous time, so that means that house has had 8 roofs put on, and we were going to be number 9, and no one has bothered to check the decking in that entire time. 8 layers of felt. What's the most you've had? Have you come across?
I think the most I've had was 7, and that was on Brandon DeVinny's. He
Okay.
also had 3 layers of shingles and metal shakes on top.
The very first roof we did in Kaufman area was down in Kemp. I did it for a family that we've done 6, 7, 8 roofs for. And I had to call the adjuster 3 times because we not only did we run into 3 layers of shingles, multiple layers of felt, but at the very bottom was wood shakes. And you see that a lot too, shingles over wood shakes. And we just ran into it about 6 months ago on one of our salesmen's jobs where they had wood shakes under the shingles, and we had to call the homeowner and say, look, and this was a retail deal. This wasn't even insurance related. And we said, hey, you got wood shakes and we can't go back over it. And so, and actually I think it had metal on top. Again, if they're offering a layover, I would run from that. And that's our roof tip of the day is that, just make sure that we are coming up on storm season. You're going to see us start doing this a lot on the podcast. We're going to start talking a little bit more about some roof tips and stuff, whether it be Reece or Mike or myself. And if you're watching this, if you have any questions, you're free to reach out to me. You're free to reach out to Reece. If you don't know our personal cell numbers, call the office, and one of us will get back in touch with you, and we'll definitely answer any of those questions that we may have. Reece, here's your time to shine. Kudos to the 41-year-old basketball player that had a triple-double last night, replacing a fan favorite of mine, Carl Malone, the mailman. You want to shine and just
I would like
throw
to
the chest out there? Go ahead.
I would like to notate that I received a text yesterday in the early minutes of the game stating that the Lakers were what did you say yesterday?
What did I say? They're not going to lose. They're terrible. They're terrible. You know what? I used to be a huge Lakers fan in the 80s. When the Showtime was running, it was unbelievable to watch. But the Showtime doesn't run anymore. The Lakers are done. They're not going to win the championship this year. They have no chance of winning. I don't even think they'll get past San Antonio.
Would you be willing to make a bet on that?
Absolutely. How much do you need on this? This is a faith-based podcast too, so
I do.
Easy, careful.
I do dinner at Texas.
In a heartbeat. Shelby, we're coming to see you on my boy. We're coming to see you, Shelby and Dale, on my son as soon early May, as soon as or mid-May, as soon as I'm assuming that the Spurs will be playing the Lakers before either the Spurs or the Oklahoma Thunder, but neither one of them will have. I don't even believe it'll go past 6.
I think the Thunder would be able to give them little bit better run for their money. Depends on how Wemby's playing on the Spurs, but
I think the Spurs beat them in 6. They'll make it go 6 because the NBA will and the TV will have to have their TV time of Luka and what's his name, Bronny Bron or Bon Bom.
Bronny James?
No, LeBron.
LeBron? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
The
mean
Queen?
You mean the only
The
triple double from last night?
Yeah. 41 years old. Hey, that is a remarkable deal, though. But I mean, the competition is watered down, in my
I
opinion.
love how you keep stealing my notes over here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep getting yours. So anyway, shine
Y'all
in your
see that?
moment that LeBron is.
He's pulling my notes away because he knows that
Oh, my
he
gosh.
knows that the big key section down here is about
I can't
LeBron.
say. I cannot say on this podcast what the mailman would do to LeBron if he had that chance. But anyway, all right. So we're 2.5 weeks away from. Rangers are opening up spring training. Love me some baseball.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous
Why?
about this season with the Rangers.
You don't think they'll do well?
Well, we need to make a couple of plays, but
Yeah.
I think that the Rangers.
I think we need a hitter. Do you think Nick Castellanos would be? Is that how you say his name, Castellanos?
Something like that.
Okay. You
I
don't
think
even know.
I think
You're
Castellano.
Spanish.
I think Castellano might help out, but
That would be awesome to get him. It's basically a virtual trade of him for Ardolis Garcia because
yeah,
Garcia's basically taking his place.
yeah.
But do you think he could provide a little bit more consistency than Garcia did, and maybe keep his?
I think he would be a little bit more of a consistent hitter instead of just being an all-out slugger.
Well, and that would be awesome.
That's what we need.
I mean, put up 72 RBIs.
That man's bat speed is very good. I actually was watching.
And I don't know if the Philly stadium is as hitter friendly as Arlington.
I would be willing to make that argument. Yeah. I think that he would be in a more comfortable area at the Rangers, but I think that he could make a big difference in our lineup. I think that a big thing that the Rangers really need is just someone consistent. And if he can bring that, then I think we'd have a better chance at really stretching the season out. But it's kind of hard to go from winning the World Series to just
Boy, it does.
coming off of that high and
Man,
diving down.
that is not good. So the Rangers start in a little over a month, and in that time we also have March Madness. Are you rooting for anybody in March Madness?
Man, I watched a little bit of the Kansas and Arizona game the other day.
Did you?
And yeah, and they embarrassed Kansas from what I was seeing.
They ended up losing that game.
Yeah, I know, but that wasn't because they weren't playing good. That was because of mistake. Well, I guess I should backtrack on that.
Arizona's only had one loss.
That was because Arizona did not execute towards the end.
Could this be the year the Big 12 gets 2 teams in the Final Four, with Arizona and Houston or Iowa State? Or even Texas Tech.
I would love to see Arizona and Houston.
Oh, I would love to see a matchup between Kelvin Sampson and Arizona in the Final Four or even the finals. Kelvin Sampson, I have long admired Kelvin Sampson. He is a really good basketball coach. I wish he was either at Baylor or at Texas. I love Scott Drew. I've come around on Scott Drew. I was not a fan of Scott Drew early on, but I've come around on Scott Drew. But I also believe that coaches have a shelf life. And I'm one of those used to be Dallas Cowboy fans that believes that the time had ran out on Tom Landry. I know that'll catch me some flack, and I know that will catch me some heartache. But every coach has a shelf life, I believe. And I believe that we may be nearing the end on Scott Drew. But Kelvin Sampson has got it. He's got it going on in Houston. He did well in Oklahoma. And Kelvin Sampson is just one of the best coaches. He's one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball, in my opinion. He gets the most out of his players. He's got them playing both offense and defense, and that's key in the playoffs, in the tournament, because you not only got to be able to have some guards that can score, but you got to be able to shut down the opposition in crucial moments. And I'm telling you, I think Houston could be a team that wins it all.
I see a lot of authority when Houston takes the court.
Yes.
And
that is something we will agree on.
I see that they not only play hard on offense, but they play hard on defense too. And you've seen this argument a lot here recently, really in the last probably 7 to 10 years, that a lot of people are starting to say that NCAA is really the last true form of basketball. You don't see it as much in the NBA anymore, of playing really hard defense with really hard offense and just true teamwork.
What I don't like about the NCAA, I agree with that majority of that statement that you just made. What I don't like is that, and Steve and I were just talking about it in the high school format with the traditions of rivalries and stuff, and you have people that are trading every year. Like I was watching the Baylor TCU game. A girl, the center, had played on either 3 or 4 teams in 4 or 5 years. And that's just not the spirit of college anymore. I think I've said this in comments, I've said this in posts, and I will say it right now on my podcast. The NCAA has to get, if they're going to offer NIL money and they're going to do this, they're on a deal, they have to get to a place to where the kids can't just leave every year and play at 4 different places. They need to put them in a contract, and they need to put them in a 2-year contract. I would probably say 2 years is fair enough for both sides. But I also think that if you're going to be in a 2-year contract, whether it be football, basketball, you can't also set out playoffs or even bowl games just because you don't want to get injured. Because if you're getting paid that kind of money and you're getting paid the money that they're starting to offer these kids, then you should be able to fulfill all obligations no matter what and no matter the risk, because I think you're obligated to those people if you're doing it at that point. And I think a 2-year deal limits the transfer portal. It makes it it enriches the rivalries again, I think. And I think it keeps the sports intact, and it gives a chance for boosters to root for their teams and to root for their players. And the other thing I'll say is the NCAA and the NBA needs to address, much like the NFL has done, the rule of one and done. I don't think a kid should be able to leave at 19, 20 years old because I don't think they're ready mature-wise. I don't think they're ready mentally-wise. I'm really not even sure they're ready physically-wise. Yeah, there's a Cooper Flag, and yes, there was a LeBron James that could be ready, but nothing's going to hurt them by staying 1 or 2 more years, especially now when you're making money in the NBA. In the NCAA.
Yeah.
And I think anything, it will only help you, and it will only help you. You know, they say 80% or 70% of NBA players 5 years after they've quit playing are broke again.
Mm-hmm.
And it can only help you if you're more mature and can handle that limelight and can handle the finances a little bit better by putting a team around you and learning that stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was my little vent about that. Real quick, I want to segue into the Olympics before we go into our spiritual or our faith-based point. What's your take on the Olympics? Are you following the Olympics?
So honestly, I have not really been following the Olympics besides.
There's a particular thing I want to hit you up on.
Okay.
Because you're a big cornhole guy.
I am.
Have you watched any of the curling?
So I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to it. Honestly, the only curling stuff that I've even seen over the last couple months has been Jason Kelsey and his wife.
Okay, but curling is you've got to get that button or whatever they call it. Steve, do you know what it's called? A stone. The stone. You got to get that stone within the circle. And to me, curling is cornhole on ice.
I mean,
am I wrong?
I could.
Steve, what do you think?
I could see that.
What do you think, Steve? I know it's hard to hear. They may not hear you, but what do you think?
I think curling is more like shuffleboard on ice.
Okay, but I still think you can make an argument for cornhole. Could you imagine a bunch of Texas or Louisiana guys? I'm sorry I'm throwing your state under the bus there, Chris. I love you to death, but could you imagine a bunch of Texas or Louisiana guys doing curling? I mean, you got a 54-year-old, your mom and my wife brought my attention about this 54-year-old lawyer most of the curling people come from the state of Minnesota. I mean, you know, I've got a friend up there, Mick, he's a great guy, but most of them come from Minnesota, Duluth mainly. That's like the mecca of curling. And I'm just saying, could you see, I think you can make a loose connection to cornhole to curling, and I think it would be hilarious. And yet, at the same time, I think within 3 to 5 years, Texas people would be ruling curling. I'm sorry, not cornhole. They already rule that, but I think they would be ruling. Man, you'd have 50-year-old men out there. Hey, man, I'm gonna get me a gold medal on this thing.
I think there's a lot more that goes into it than just brooming the ice and sweeping it away. But
I guarantee you, I think there's some Texas guys out there right now, because I'm one of them. And I don't even play cornhole. I'm like, I could get a gold in curling.
I don't know that it's as easy as they make it look, because I don't think that I could.
A 54-year-old lawyer participated in the curling tournament this past week. He's 54. He's a lawyer. I'm like, can you take over the roofing for the next 3 years and get it to efficient so I can go focus on curling for the? I want to be in the Olympics.
If you bring home a gold medal in curling, I'll do whatever we got to do to support that.
Well, I got to start training. I mean, I'm telling you, the curling that has caught my attention. Maybe because I'm old and because I'm trying to find a way. Because there's no way on God's green earth. I don't care if there were $5 million waiting for me at the end of the deal that I'm jumping on a pair of skis and doing what Lindsey Vonn did.
No.
I mean, that's crazy. But curling, I'm in. I am in.
I don't think that I would be very good at curling, but I'll support you if you want to try to be good at curling, for sure.
I just think curling would be the best. Any other take on the Olympics that you got?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't really been keeping up with it, to be honest with you. Other than hearing about the Lindsey Vonn accident,
What's your all-time favorite Olympic event? If you could dream of being in the Olympics, what would you want to do? Winter or summer?
I think that if I were to do winter, it would 100% be snowboarding. I just remember growing up watching Shaun White highlights, and now there's a bunch of new guys that are coming through that are doing things that were unheard of in the.
Have they already had this? Have they already had all the snowboarding?
I don't believe so.
Who's the favorite in the men's? Who's the hot shot snowboarder now? Who's the Shaun White of the 2020s?
It's a guy that I want to say he's 21, 22, but he rules the X Games, and in pretty much all the X Games stuff, this guy, I mean, he's pretty solid, but the one that everyone talks about is Chloe Kim.
Chloe Kim.
Yeah.
And I did see where she got a silver instead. She missed on a third gold.
Yeah.
So she got a silver.
She's pretty
she's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, she's pretty solid. She's probably one of the ones that you're always going to see in the front running whenever it comes to snowboarding.
Obviously, my favorite besides curling, because I still think I could do the curling. That would be awesome. But my favorite besides curling is speed skating.
Okay.
Those guys can, and women can. First of all, their legs and would you call it torso? I guess right where your legs and hips connect.
Your hamstrings.
Man, they are like football players in the development. And I mean,
Those are some strong legs.
yes,
I mean, I can't even get around the Galleria in their little ice rink. I don't know how they.
no, but I would love to be a speed skater because they are incredible to watch. They are, as Steve said earlier, sometimes it's fun to watch the fallouts when they're transitioning because it's kind of cool with the speed skating. And I may be wrong, but I think you'll go a full lap on the inside, but as you're coming back to the transition, if you've gone inside on one lap, the next lap you got to go outside. And it's really cool how speed skating works to where you're every other lap, you're either inside or outside, meaning that you have to do the you get the shorter track or you get the longer track, depending how you end up on it. But it is just amazing to watch them run and to watch them start from basically nothing, and it's not like you're starting in a track on the 100 or the 200 where you get down in the crouch position. You're in a crouch position, but you're building off of ice. Like if you're just hacks like us, you probably do the splits when you first start off in the ice and don't get started, but they are building speed, and within 50 yards or whatever, they're all out going at incredible speed, and just the way their bodies are moving and the way that they're just gaining their tracking ground is just it's kind of just magnificent to watch how they do.
I would agree.
How their stroke is. And so speed skating for me would be the deal. All right. So we talked about Lindsey Vonn, and actually that was what I was going to transition into our faith moment. Sometimes when you have the courage, and really this is on discontent, but you know what? Let's just talk about the courage today. How is it in faith that we could be like Lindsey Vonn and have the courage to step out on a situation like Lindsey did to where we're in total trust of God?
Man, so
Can I ask you that?
Yeah. I think one of the big things that I've been fighting lately is, we talked about it last night at our young adults ministry at the Commons.
The Commons, which is where?
It's at Sunnyvale Sea Life. We do it.
Okay.
We used to do it every other Thursday. We are now moving to doing it every Thursday, which I'm not going to be able to make it every week because I have EMT classes coming up starting next week. But I will say that there's a definite line of where we think that discipline and just all out white knuckling self control will help us keep from sinning or keep from falling into temptation. And last night we were talking about temptation because Valentine's is coming up and everything. And it's one of those things where last night Caleb McDill put it in a really good way that he said it's not as much of having less of a desire to sin. It's having more of a desire to find the contentness in Christ. And so that was a really good,
Wow.
that was a good,
Pretty
really good line that hit me. It was, just focusing on finding your passion in Christ to fulfill whatever that temptation or whatever that sin might be. Just surrendering it to God and making sure that, you're not trying to self-control it, that you're trying to look for a greater power to control it. And that greater power in my life is Christ. And I believe that, God, there's things that happen in this world that will work out to glorify God in one way or another. And I think that a lot of people feel as if God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. Well, that's not always the case, because at the end of the day, you have to learn how to lean on God and give it to God and surrender it to him.
So I also think that, I was listening to the worship initiative by Shane and Shane this morning. If you like singing hymns, I highly recommend that you Google that and get that being sent to you. It comes in a form of a text message, and you can listen to it. It's called the Worship Initiative, and they do a sing-along, and they actually break down a song. And the lady was talking today about how nothing can fulfill us and can make us content unless we accept Jesus, and only through his saving and his blood of the Lamb can we become saved and be fully content. And she went on to say that, a lot of times we'll buy things, or we'll make brownies, and I love me some brownies. Man, I absolutely love some brownies, and but especially moist chocolate ones. But the point is, you can go out there and search for things to make you content. And like I've been reading a book called Simple Money, Rich Life by Bob Lochich, and I would highly recommend that as well. I've talked about it several times. It says one of the things that a couple of points that I want to bring out is that no matter what it is that we want materially or whatever, if our heart is not set on Jesus, we will be disappointed. The other thing is, out of our lack of contentment, we often drive ourselves to spend more than what we earn in order to try to satisfy. And then because we've driven so hard to do it, that too often we find ourselves disappointed and not even appreciative of what we finally were able to buy because of what it took to get to it. And then the last thing is, and what goes along with that is that we spend too much time on a moving target. And what the lady said today is that we're so focused on everything and our material stuff that oftentimes we miss the true blessing that God wants to give us because we settled for this when we could have had this. And that is, man, that's huge. And so I guess if you're out there today, some things that I would encourage you to do is find your contentment in Jesus and Jesus alone. And then make some changes in your life. I focus on mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And I think there's areas that every person can learn. Scroll less on Facebook. I have had inconsistent results with that in the last month that I'm trying to do. I am limiting myself from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on social media. And then I end my nights. I've talked about this several times. I've end my nights with going on the YouVersion Bible and doing their full devotional. And I also start my mornings in a devotional manner. But limit yourself on social media. There's enough trash out there that it takes too long to get off, to process through that and allow your mind to grow. And then try to challenge yourself something mentally each and every month to grow in. And, one of the things that I've talked about the last podcast and that Reece has shared the last time he was on here is I'm trying to work on my golf game. And one of the things I'm trying to do is get in the gym. And I'm not a gym person. I'm not a what they call a gym rat. Some of them are. Reece works out in the gym a lot. But I'm trying to get to the gym 3-4 times. I've been sidelined the last week and a half or 2 weeks with a little cold or flu-like symptoms. Man, if you talk to my kids and my wife, they thought I was going to die, or they had me dying already. But I'm still here, and things are good. And as we wrap up, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I really just think that the last couple points you got on here is spending our lives chasing a moving target. We won't ever be satisfied.
Nope.
If you don't find your satisfaction in Jesus, then you're never going to be fully fulfilled. And I think that a lot of people find their attention brought onto whatever the world's telling them is the trendy thing or the thing that they need to be doing right now. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't be the world that's leading you. It should be the Word of God that's leading you.
Man, that's awesome. So like stripes on a tiger
We got you covered.
at Tiger Roofing. Hey, y'all have a great day. And today, find your content in Jesus Christ. Have a wonderful day.